Giant leaps forward are often preceded by desperate regressive steps backwards. This is a quote from a developmental psychologist by the name of Don Beck. And he studied over several years across the whole world how the human psyche evolves, how our values change, and how that inevitably changes how we live. And one of the most important lessons we can learn from his work is that backsliding, going back to old ways, is natural and normal and part of the journey. I wish I knew this a little bit earlier, because when I started this whole journey of self-actualization and spiritual growth around 6 years ago, I definitely remember beating myself up and being my own worst critic to the core when I had a backsliding period. And I didn't have this mindset, which I'm going to share in this video, of how growth necessitates backsliding and how backsliding is actually a very positive sign most of the time. I just simply had this expectation that, I'm going to start and it's just going to go upwards like this, without any bumpers, without any steps backwards. But this turns out to be a newbie fantasy, and so I want to help dispel that in this video, because I really caused myself lots of suffering by judging myself for backsliding and by not understanding this principle of homeostasis. Homeostasis, you can imagine, is like a heating system at home. That heating system has a certain temperature set that it wants to maintain. And whether the temperature goes above the standard temperature or below, it tries to go back to maintain its core temperature. It is just doing its job. And this analogy helps us understand how change works in our lives, because we can make changes for the positive or the negative. And so in a sense, we can start to become grateful for this force even, instead of fighting against it and demonizing it and judging ourselves for it. Because what it is just an innocent attempt to stay the same. This is our ego, this is our identity, this is how we've been living for years. And when we try to make changes in our lives, we're trying to change that. We're changing our values, we're changing them to higher consciousness values, and then we're trying to embody them in our lives by letting go of old bad habits, by expanding our comfort zone, and just transforming ourselves from the inside out. And then we feel great. Oh, I meditated for a whole week without missing a single day. Oh, I've been clean from pornography or eating junk food or whatever else there is in our lives that we want to change. Or, oh, I've been working on my life purpose and following my creative passions. And then we backslide. We go to eating a bucket of ice cream. We go back to a porn marathon, a Netflix marathon, a video game marathon, and we stuff ourselves full until we're aching and we feel guilty, and then we judge ourselves for having done so. But what this mindset shift helps us to do is to contextualize how growth and the human psyche evolves, what the patterns are, and what we can expect. And we have this expectation in place that this is natural and actually a sign that we are in fact expanding our comfort zone, then we'll be much better equipped to stay in it for the long term. Because as it turns out, it doesn't go up like that. It's more like it starts very slow. You start investing in yourself, and then there's going to be a little bit of an upspurt, and then there's going to be a crash afterwards, because we changed how we were, and now there's going to be this resistance force trying to pull us back to how we were. And then there's going to be another step. And then there's going to be a plateau where nothing happens. And then there's going to be a crash down again. And when we have this expectation in place, then we'll be much more forgiving towards ourselves. We understand what's happening. Because I remember feeling like, why am I sabotaging myself? Why am I doing this to myself? My plan was to become healthier, to become more engaged with life, to live my passions. Isn't this all positive? Well, but you know, just like the automatic heating system at home, our identity, our ego doesn't care whether it's a positive or a negative change. It just innocently tries to stay the same. And so we can use this mindset shift to be like, okay, next time we feel strong negative emotions, a craving to go back to old addictions, we're just gonna forgive ourselves. We're gonna go back on track gently and as lovingly and as quickly as we can. And we're not gonna guilt ourselves for too long, and actually pat ourselves on the shoulder and see it for what it is, a sign of growth. And this can be even with creative passions and projects. You know, usually the things that we resist the most, that we have the most fear of, are actually the things we need to do the most. Is actually a sign that we should go towards it, because it's just this innocent force of resistance trying to maintain our identity. But in life, we oftentimes begin to wise up and we see a need for growth. That the way we are living right now is not actualizing our full potential, not honoring our deepest values. And so then we come up with a new positive vision. And then there's all this resistance, like I'm not ready, I don't know enough, I can't do this, who am I to do it? But when we can recognize that again and make the reframe shift in our minds, that this is actually a sign that we are meant for this. Stephen Pressfield in his book, actually, The War of Art, talks about these creative resistance blocks, and he says that the people who don't have any resistance, they're not the true artists. You know, if you ask yourself, am I an artist? Am I made for this? In whatever form you want to be an artist, then you can be sure that you are an artist, and you should break through that resistance by doing it anyways and trusting in your inner divine guidance and intuitions that are giving you sparks of creative passion and inspiration. It's not an accident. So hope this mindset shift will help you in your life to see growth in a more realistic way, to expect backsliding, see it as normal, forgive yourself when it happens, and next time just learn to observe it. This is why meditation is extremely valuable of a tool. It grows our mindfulness muscles, and when it happens that we backslide, we have some anger, we want to be unkind to the people around us, we want to go back to addictions and bad habits, we can just observe it more instead of being sucked in by it so much. So meditation is the #1 master key to deal with backsliding. Number 2 would be to just set proper expectations, long-term vision, expect backsliding to happen, and just have a positive passion that you're following. Because if we don't have deep values, that we honor a life purpose that is meaningful to us, that touches our heart, then we don't have anything higher to live for, and then it will be very hard to get out of the rut that we are in if we struggle with even beginning to get out of a negative state. So hope this helps. Leave me a like if this video helped you. Leave me a comment if you've ever experienced backsliding. And give me any feedback, it's highly appreciated. And just subscribe for more videos on personal development and spirituality. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week, and I'll see you soon with much more. Peace out and namaste.